BowmanDigitalMedia.com.
Good morning from sunny California, everybody. My name is Ira Bowman, and I am the host of Marketing Mondays with Ira Bowman. I'm scheduled to have Brad Smith from Stellar Insight with me today. He is running behind. I'm not sure what's going on there, but that's okay if he doesn't show up. Promise you, we can fill the air with good marketing tips for you. In fact, part of the show each and every week, if you don't know, is that we do take live marketing questions here on the air. We're coming to you live from Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Hope you like my new intro music. For some reason, Facebook didn't like the YouTube free music that I play. And actually, I'm going to give you guys a tip. If you're in the marketing space, you're making videos, if you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube account by default because, Google owns YouTube. So what I do, instead of playing, songs that are copyrighted that you can't legally play and it'll get you in a lot of trouble in my world, I use YouTube studio music that doesn't have any restrictions on it, right? So they have two different versions. They have some where you have to give people credit and they'll have a little thing in there that says CC, or it has, a little icon that means it's open for everything. So sometimes Facebook doesn't recognize that. You're not going to get in trouble by the artist, but you still don't want Facebook strikes. So you do have to kind of pay attention. And for whatever reason, Facebook has not understood that the the music that I was using for my intro is unclaimed music that I can use according to YouTube, anyways. But that's okay. Switched it up. Hope you like it. It's kind of got a nice little beat to it, but it's not obnoxious, which is kind of what I was going for. Just something a little peppy as we build up. If you ever wonder why I have that intro music, because I go live on 3 platforms, it takes sometimes a little bit of time for it to get up and going on all 3. I use a broadcasting service called StreamYard, and for whatever reason, sometimes there's little hiccups, and so I like to just wait until I know that I'm connected on all 3, all systems go. It's one of the reasons why I do the comments in the beginning. First of all, it lets me know who's in the audience, which I always appreciate you guys participating in that. I always give a shout out to your town, represent where you're from. Also, I love it when I see comments from the multiple platforms because then it helps me verify that it is actually working and people are watching. If you ever miss one of these shows, I do load them now. I'm a little bit behind. I've got, I think, 3 that I need to load, plus there'll be today's. But I load them on BowmanDigitalMedia.com. I have a page. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So share screen. Okay, we're going to share that one. And then if you come here, Bowman Digital Media, you can go to, oops, I was trying to do it on the screen I was looking at. You can go right here into the About section and then Marketing Mondays. And that has all the tabs. That has all the shows from previous weeks. So if you missed one, you can come through and see, like if you know which guest you're looking for or which date you're looking for, you can come and you can see them. And if you would rather read them, I know some people like to read. I actually do put a transcript of each episode in my blog. It's not necessarily formatted in an easy to read format, but if you have like an audio reader or something like that and you just wanted to read it too, you can do that. That's great for copying and pasting if you want to do any attributions, right? If you want to give me credit for something that I said or share something that I said, that's one way to do it. Anyways, so that's on Marketing Mondays tab of Bowman Digital Media. And again, you just go to the About, drop down, and then there on the bottom underneath my blog. So if you're looking for the written version, it's there. Okay. So while we're waiting for Brad Smith to show up, and I don't want to talk too much about him because I don't know, he still might be coming. So I've sent him a text to see if he's just running behind, but he hasn't responded yet. So anyways, he might have had an emergency or something pop up. So it happens from time to time. But anyways, in the meantime, if you have a marketing question, please, by all means, feel free to ask the question. I'm going to start with something. I need to pull it up because I wasn't ready. So this is kind of like live TV, sometimes you gotta roll with the punches. So what I'm going to do is I want to talk about something. I got an email from Neil Patel earlier today, and I'm sure it's just his form emails. You can call what you want outbound campaigns because I get those all the time from him. But let me share my screen and show you. Oh, we do got Brad. Okay, so I'll add Brad. There's Brad. Hello, Brad.
Howdy.
Welcome to the show, brother. Okay, so I was just filling some dead space real quick. So let me finish this thought real quick, and we'll jump into it. I'm going to give you a proper intro and all that stuff. So on LinkedIn this morning, I put up a message or a post, if you will. Neil Patel just sent me this, and if you don't know who Neil Patel is, he's a really smart guy in the SEO space. I follow him and I read all his material, and he puts out a lot of good free information. One of the things that he said is, do you know that 89% of business-to-business companies search on Google before closing a deal? It's not through word of mouth or reading online industry publications. Most purchasing companies find potential suppliers through SEO. Despite that, most business owners that target B2B still don't have, well, that's bad English, but I just copied and pasted what he said, still haven't mastered SEO as an acquisition channel. I couldn't agree more. This is me speaking now. If you need help with your business SEO, and then it's kind of a commercial for me and hashtags. But anyways, I find that fascinating because I do see this all the time. We offer SEO services at Bowman Digital Media, and a lot of people, that's the one service they go, why would I want that? Why would I pay for that? I mean, and they don't even know how that blends or how it ties in dovetails in with the other services I provide. And it's like SEO super important because of Google, because of Bing, even YouTube. YouTube's the second largest search engine in the world. And if you're not doing your SEO and your videos, you're having a problem as well. So anyways, that was just to wrap up the thought there, Brad. My guest, Brad Smith, is one of the smartest people I know. And I don't say that to make him blush, but if he does, that's cool too. But anyways, he is. I was just talking to, as you know, Brad, I was talking to Allison DeFord about you, and I misspelled her name in the video. That was phenomenal. That's okay. She called me Brad at the end of the video, so I'm going to do a blooper section on that. We could have some fun together. But that was one of the things that we talked about is, you're not 20. You're not even 50. Like you have lived a lot and you have experience, but beyond that, you're also just high intelligence guy anyways. So you have a huge intellect and a lot of experience. And we put those two together. That's a potent combination. And
dangerous, yes.
Yeah, we're both big fans. So if you guys are not familiar with Brad Smith is many things, but he is also the owner of a company called Stellar Insight Inc. And Stellar Insight Inc. is an executive coaching business where you can come, this is funny because what I was just talking about B2B, that's not what he does. He does B2C. He's looking for you as an individual to help you get your goals on track so that you can add an extra 0 or 2 to your revenue.
I'm going to give you a hard time for that, Ira. I actually work with B2B. It's like I work with business owners so that I can help them at least double their business growth. So,
but you're working with the owner on so that they can do that on their company. I guess that's
whatever their industry is. And what's stunning to me, I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years, but what's stunning to me is it really doesn't matter what the industry is. If you work on the details of it. So I've read 2 books that kind of capture how I've kind of naturally gone after my business. One is Rocket Fuel, and I can't think of the authors, but Rocket Fuel is one, and they describe that you have to have both a visionary and an operations person in order to have a business excel. You got somebody who's really good at both, and the number of people that are good at both. And I'm one of those rare breeds. I'm in the 5% that's good at both because I take their test. It's like, oh yeah, I'm 98% in this and 96% in this. So operations. So what I do is I work with my clients to improve their vision. The second book that I'm in the middle of right now is called Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. And he lays out essentially you have to have both a vision, a deep understanding of your market and how to reach it, and then fine tune all the little bitty nasty pieces that are hard to wrap your head around. You can't just do, we're just going to double our sales. That's not a strategic plan. A strategic plan is something that wraps both strategy and vision together so that you do all the operations together and you align everybody with that.
I want to do this. I've got your website up for the book Brad suggested reading list, and these are the books that you suggest people are reading. It's kind of like a book club. You can read along with Brad, and Brad's he does have it on his website here on the homepage, above the fold. Even Brad, kudos for that. The book spotlight, and then when you click on that button. And then you scroll down, and then there it is. Brad suggested reading list.
So we're going to add Rocket Fuel to that list.
Yeah, and what we've done here too. So you've got these backlinks where people, if they want to get it, it's just the book on Amazon because that's where most people are buying.
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay, and this is the one you were just talking about, Big Strategy, Bad Strategy by Richard.
It's brilliant. But in order to understand, you have to understand what is it you actually sell. And I had to rework my whole business name because of different things, but I had to rename my company. And I realized what I actually sell is insight. I help my clients understand their business better than they understand their business. I help my clients understand themselves and their company culture and their company better than they understand themselves. So I describe that as length of years in the business and the industry. Um, Apparently, I'm smart. People say that.
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
And
Although sometimes it's smart mouth, but that's
well, that's an attitude, right?
that just makes you more fun.
Right. And the third piece is intuition. And most people don't understand that the foundation of a good strategic plan is deep, deep insight. And the analytical mind doesn't give that to you. The intuitive mind gives that to you. So if you're looking for a way to do things, use your intuitive mind, which I describe as a synthesis engine. It takes pieces from everywhere and puts it into a whole, a solution. I was an analytical chemist for almost a decade, a little more than a decade. And I found that as I developed my intuitive mind, my analytical mind would serve a purpose of being able to dissect something, pull things apart, and break them down to their least common denominator. And then the intuitive mind would fold it back together and make it a whole, but make it better. And so that's actually what I work with my clients on, is to help them understand, and I don't want dependency. What I want is I want to teach people how to be significantly better than they are at their business, at themselves, so that wherever they go from then on, they're improved. That's what I love.
I want to do something real quick. I'm going to test this here. I don't like that view because we're hiding our faces underneath my graphic. But this right here is, if you're watching this interview, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, or you're watching it after the fact on my website, wherever you're watching this from, whenever you're watching it, if you're not familiar with Brad Smith, I want to encourage you to follow him. I'm actually going to put the link to his profile on all three. So find and follow or connect.
There's stuff that comes out of me that I just think is natural and automatic, and I find that if I get to share that with people, not everybody has it, unfortunately. I wish everybody did.
Okay, so I've got it on all three platforms now. So it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, and it's on LinkedIn. So just click on that link, guys, and you can, if you're not, again, familiar with Brad Smith, he's definitely, the reason I have him on the show, he's one of the people I highly, highly respect. And so I'm bringing him on. You can take my word for it as a referral, a recommendation, a reference, however you want to look at it, that he's somebody that you want to go follow. And he's got a fairly large network. I was just checking this out. 15,500 followers. That says something about you on LinkedIn when you have a following that size. And the other thing I was going to say, I actually have a link to it here. But you know what? Let's do it here. So on his website, in fact, this is that video I was just referencing. This is the polished version with the name spelled correctly. Allison, you're welcome. But this is that interview that I was just talking about. Allison and I got together and had a little chat about Brad and put it up on his website there, so you can check it out. But I asked her a question, Brad, which I think was interesting, and I don't, in those interviews, I don't actually I don't prep. That's the view I'm looking for. I don't prep the audience. Like, I didn't send you a list of questions and things I'm going to ask you today, right? So I did the same thing for Allison. I didn't send her a list of questions. And one of the things that I asked her was, what do you think it is about people who have yet to hire a coach? What is it about that fence that gets them to block their mind? But I want to ask you that same question. I thought her answer was it surprised me. The answer that she gave, it made a lot of sense. And if you guys want to see Allison before the answer, watch the video.
Go see. I have a high degree of respect for Allison. She is emotionally and business-wise one of the wisest people I've ever met. That's a good description of Allison.
I interviewed her for 10 minutes and then we talked for another hour, but that's just the way it goes. But anyways, okay, so the question to you is, people are, they might even understand that a coach would be helpful, but for whatever reason, they're just like, they haven't taken
So,
the leap of
so
faith.
my question to people is this: if you're considering, if you've got a frustration that you can't seem to get yourself through, use that as an impulse, and then think about, have you ever had someone you respected that was a mentor to you? Basketball coach, wrestling coach, whoever. Who are your heroes, right? And then go spend time with them, right? If you don't want to talk to me, which is cool, go find somebody who you respect, who you have the key piece that I require with a new client is rapport. If you can't have rapport with someone, there's no point, because the ideas won't exchange between the two of you. So if you're considering having a coach, find someone you feel comfortable with, that you respect. That's how you work through that decision. Each of us has inertia. Each of us has emotional inertia. Each of us has mental inertia, and we have inertia in our life, and it holds us still in a certain place. Everybody feels stuck somewhere in their life. So reach out, find somebody that's better than you are at what you do. You know, you may be the best in the world. That can't be. There's better coaches than I am, right? There's better people at everything that I do. But what you want is someone who's better than you are.
Well, Steph Curry, okay, one of the best three-point shooters, if not the best three-point shooter in NBA history. I mean, he's certainly up there. He has a coach that works with him, and he works. I mean, it's well documented. I've watched lots of interviews and things about Steph Curry and his coach, and it's like, if Steph Curry has a basketball coach to teach him how to shoot, to teach him how to dribble, and to push him, like, couldn't I use a marketing coach? Couldn't I use a business coach? Couldn't I use, all kinds of coaches? I'm sure I could use pretty much one of everybody. But you know what I mean? It's like, I think sometimes people, to your point, like, they start to get to the top of their game. Tiger Woods, for example, has a swing coach. You know what I mean? Like, don't tell me that you're better at what you do than Tiger Woods is at golf. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
sometimes maybe we just need to humble ourselves, I guess. But that perspective, I think, hopefully will help people kind of like go, oh, okay, it's not a sign of weakness; it's a sign of intelligence to realize that there are people who can help you improve. Because you're really competing against yourself in a lot of ways, anyways. The goal should be,
In almost everything. When I was in chemistry, one of the things that I enjoyed doing was distillations. And when you start out with a rough product, it takes a certain amount of energy to double the purity, right? But when you get down to where you're in the last 2 or 3% of purifying a product, it takes an inordinate amount of effort, technology, and capability to do that. So if you're in the top 5% of your field, go find a coach, because they can help you get better. The key requirement is be ambitious, be curious, respect them, and find someone you have rapport with.
yeah. Well, let's say somebody doesn't know what kind of coach they need, or a coach that could help them with it, right? So they're just kind of like, okay, I know I need a coach, but I don't know who. I don't know. I'm not familiar with people. One of the things that I've learned to do in my profession is something called an informational interview. And I've written about it at length on Project Help You Grow for job seekers, but it can work in any field. So you talked about being an analytical chemist, and I'm not one. I'm not. I don't have that intellect, so I wouldn't. I wouldn't even know where to begin on that. But in marketing, or in sales, or in being a father or husband or anything, right? I can find somebody, like you said, who's doing what I want to do, who's already accomplishing what I want to accomplish, or maybe they're even the step higher, which I think is better if you can find somebody who's even taking that next step. And ask, you reach out to them, and you ask them questions, and a lot of times those are the folks, if the personalities mesh, that will become your mentors.
Yep.
and that's a good thing. So they become kind of like a coach, but more of as a mentor. And then you can ask them, and you can take advantage of their Rolodex. Brad, your Rolodex has got to be huge because you have so much experience. And someone like me, I have a large Rolodex too, just because of what I've done on social media. So there are people out there that have those connections just at the top of their tongue that, if you ask, they'll give it to you, but they're not going to volunteer it in most cases, and frankly they're not even thinking about your need for it, because that's how most of us are. We're thinking about our own issues and our own, but as soon as you ask, that doesn't cost anything. If it doesn't cost me any money to refer Brad Smith, all I need to know is that somebody needs Brad Smith, and I will gladly refer you, which is why you're here on the show. Uh, we got a comment from Dave Chrysler. Love this Ira Bowman, so much value delivered. We try, David. If you have a question for Coach Brad, by all means, go ahead and let it rip. I know David from.
So just a side note, the informational interview,
Yeah.
I look at every first conversation that I have with a potential client as informational interview. My goal is to find out if we can have rapport and if I can actually help them get traction. So the first one is always free.
Yeah.
Somewhere on my website, there's a link to sign up for that. Please do. I'd love to talk to you.
Every post that Stellar Insight puts up, in fact, I have that page up. Let me pull it up, and so I didn't have it up. Shame on me. It's okay. I'll get it right now. So Stellar Insight Inc. has a website. Obviously, we've shared that in the comments here already, but also Stellar Insight has a business page on LinkedIn. And when you go to Stellar Insight's LinkedIn page, any of the posts that are on here, they have a link for you to book a meeting with Brad, a Calendly. He has a calendar, right? So you can go on there, find the date and time. So if you haven't already hit that follow button, do us a favor. Go to Stellar Insights business page on LinkedIn, and I'll share that in the comments in just a second. But find that page, hit the follow button, and then if you haven't taken Brad Smith up on his offer to do a 30-minute consult that's free, you should do that. You're going to be amazed what Brad can learn about you, and he'll give you information that will help you moving forward. Right fit or not, it's worth your 30 minutes, I promise. So go ahead and reach out to Brad. Like I said, I'll put this here in the comments in just a second. In fact, I can just grab it right there. That's how I do that. Okay, back to this, but I'll put that in the comments here now. So find and follow Stellar Insight Inc. on LinkedIn, his company page, right there. And let's see, we are at, how many followers do we have right now? 560 followers on the LinkedIn page. So let's get them up over 600 by the end of the show. That would be really good. Appreciate your help with that, my friends. All right, Brad, let's do this. Let's start talking a little bit about marketing for Stellar Insight Inc. And then we can talk about some of the challenges in a second. But the very first thing that I like to ask people when it comes to marketing is the demographics. So I don't know if you have like a cohesive list for this off the top of your head, because I didn't prep you for questions.
For marketing?
Yeah, for marketing. So demographics wise, who makes like an ideal client for Stellar Insight? Who are you chasing?
For me or for anybody? It's like, for me, it's CEOs and business owners, period, right?
Yeah.
And there's a certain size. I'm not cheap because I'm effective.
Yeah.
So there's a certain size that I have to work with, but it's worth a phone call to find out. So generally speaking, I would have people understand their ideal client. Who is your ideal client? For me, an ideal client is someone who's ambitious and curious, because those open up the door and the possibility of building rapport with them, right? And if they're ambitious, because I've had conversations with people, do you want to grow your company? And they say, no, I'm happy with where it's at. That just boggles my brain.
Right. No, I'm good. I'm good where I am. Yeah.
Right. I'm good. Right. Just like, okay, you don't want to be twice that size. No, I'm good. So
Brad,
if you're ambitious,
like I have some clients like that too. I'm their marketing representative, right? And so they're like, "No, we want you to throttle this back," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, okay, well."
Okay.
I
Now,
know my
too
higher
much.
beat is probably back, but
Right. Well, but then, okay. So then we get into the time thing, right?
yeah,
The time thing is, how does a business owner get more time? Well, you can't manufacture more time. What we can do is match. It's like, okay, I have these tasks of this process I take my clients through almost immediately. What's on your plate? What do you have no business doing? What part of that is the least expensive for you to delegate to somebody else,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Get that off your plate. Yep.
Yeah. So whatever's on your plate can get off. What would it take for you to 100%, you know, definition of a true business owner is not someone who works in the business, but someone who works on the business. Someone who can take a business owner eventually gets to the place where they can take a 1 year cruise around the world. I think they have those 1 year cruise around the world. And when
How
they
much would
come,
that cost? I wonder.
I don't know, above 50 grand, I think. But, to take a cruise around the world for a year and yeah, have some contact with their home business. But when they come back, the business is making more money and everyone's happy.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because we just talked about the thing that was, what did you say, the least expensive for them to
Right.
get off their plate. What about the things that either agitate them or they're just not really good at? For me, for example, when I launched,
Frustration list.
yeah, so Bowman Digital Media, it wasn't the cheapest thing, but the very first thing that I sourced was my accounting and my taxes, because it was just a thing that, it's not that I couldn't do it, but it was going to take a lot of time and I was going to be like spitting nails the whole time. So I was like, even though I knew that wasn't the cheapest thing to get off my plate, that was the first thing that I did. So how do you like, what would you, but
Well, to discern which you have no, what do you hate doing?
yeah, well, that's
Right.
that's what it was, right? It was like,
Right.
okay, this is all numbers and columns, which no creativity allowed. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I wasn't sure. You always wonder, because I'm not a tax professional. Am I actually
Well,
doing
it's like
the right
human
spot?
beings are designed certain ways. There are human beings that are really, really good at being a receptionist, but they're awful at being bookkeepers. And quite honestly, if you have a bookkeeper and you want them to be your receptionist, that's a really bad idea. If they're good at bookkeeping, keep them there,
Yeah,
right? Even if it's
yeah,
part time. Human beings, some people are really good at marketing, some people are good at sales. There's a different type of human being involved. So, whatever type of human being you are, you're good at some things and you're absolutely not good at others, right? I am not good at digital marketing. Therefore, I would have I would have Ira as my digital guy because I don't want to take the mental time to learn that so that it's done well because you want it done well,
yeah.
right?
Well, and I think also the point there too is, we think, okay, well, the bookkeeping or the digital marketing or the sales or the reception, whatever it is, would take me X amount of time, so it would cost X amount of dollars. But I think one thing that we forget about, and I certainly learned this when I started hiring a bookkeeper, it's like it didn't take as many hours as I was figuring. I knew the hourly rate, but they were able to get my stuff done faster than I was able to do it myself. So it did actually cost me less than I thought it was going to.
I
If
have
that's
someone do my reconciling. It takes her, I think, about an hour, maybe 2 hours, right? It takes me when I do the same stuff, it takes me 2 to 4 times as long. It's like not worth my time.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
rather read a book than do that.
Right. And then we can put it on your website.
Yep. There we go.
All right. So, demographic wise, we're looking at CEOs, company owners that are ambitious and curious. Where does pliability come into play?
Pliability.
Yeah. So, they've
Interesting.
got to be willing to change. I mean,
But that comes in the curious part.
okay.
If you're curious, you're open to new ideas. If you're ambitious, you're going to follow good ideas,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So that
So,
comes
you got it.
curiosity covers a whole bunch.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a coach, so, I have to think about what these
Yeah,
terms
but you're
mean.
curious, Ira.
You're helping me out. No, I'm
Yeah.
I'm definitely curious. You talk to me all the time, so you know.
All right.
Okay, so we talked about you're not cheap, and I understand after just talking to you why you're not cheap. So that's not an issue. But the free offer, for those of you who didn't hear it, you can have a conversation with Brad, a phone call. He can figure out what he needs to figure out as far as dissecting, if you'd be a good candidate for him, and also address your questions on price and how it all works. So again, if you don't know, you have the opportunity. Follow Stellar Insight Inc. That is Brad's company. There's a website. There's a LinkedIn page. You can follow both. But every single post that Stellar Insight makes on LinkedIn, we put the link for Brad's Calendly so that you can schedule, if you'd like to, a 30-minute consultation. So as we're going forward, okay, so CEOs, business owners, where are you finding them? Like, what's the so marketing? We have to figure out where or who we're going after. But then the other part of this is where are they and how we chase them. So let's go with the where they are. Where are you finding that? Because I mean, a lot of the CEOs, especially the busy ones, the ambitious ones, they're not necessarily on LinkedIn as much as we would like to be, right? They have profiles.
So how do I connect with them? Referrals, right? That's one, right? People occasionally get curious enough to, or ambitious enough to just like, look, I want somebody, and you popped up, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where I'm finding them. Where do they hide out? I like to work with people in the United States. I restrict myself to English because I don't know any other language very well. So it's English speaking, and somewhere in the Western, although I've had clients in India, I've had clients in the Middle East, I've had clients in Australia. But it doesn't really matter. The UK.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a video conference call with anybody.
Right.
They have to be able to understand you, and you have to be able to understand them. That makes sense. And I'm English only too. It does there's no geofence, but I have to be able to talk to you.
No, there's no geofence. It's an English fence.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. So I put this up, and I think this is true for me too, guys. So
is referrals with 2 F's or 2 R's?
Oh, it's 2 R's. Yeah. Well, you guys are learning something about me real quick. I have dyslexia, so I misspell a lot of words. It's
right.
easy. It's fun to pick on me. But anyways, I put it in quotes, so technically Brad misspelled it. But I just want you guys. I want to point this out to the audience, not to Brad. Brad already knows it, obviously, because he's getting it. And so, first and foremost, you get more referrals, people, when you ask for them, right? So you have a client, you have a friend, you have somebody that you've worked with in the past. Ask them for referrals. You'll get more that way. You can encourage referrals too if you like. There's a whole host of ways. But at Bowman Digital Media and Stellar Insight Inc., referrals is our number one source of new business. So if you're not asking for them, make sure that you incorporate that somehow into your marketing strategy, and that will help you out. Okay, so the where they're coming from for you primarily is referrals.
Well, there's associations I'm a member of that I talk with people. It's like, that sounds exactly like, let's sit down and have a conversation. So I know how to solve that problem. People talk about their frustrations,
How much time are you devoting in a week to networking and stuff like that? So a lot of us are getting hit on by, this group and that group and every other group that, is out there like, hey, join our group. And then there's a weekly meeting or a monthly meeting or some type of meeting. And you know what I mean? It all takes time. And we know from what you just said earlier, that time is the one thing that, we can't manufacture more of. So there's this life work balance, and networking or outreach is going to necessitate some of our time, of course. But how much time do you think we would associate? I don't know if you've counted it out or thought about that, but
I was thinking about it. I spend at least 6 hours a week doing things with other people that put me in put it into, doing things with people. So
that's a significant amount of time.
Yes.
That's just an hour and 15 minutes per day per work day, but still, that's a significant amount of investment. So
right. Well, that's the minimum 6. Sometimes it runs as high as 12. So
I've joined a couple networking groups. In fact, I'm just counting them in my head, 4 at the moment. I'm a part of 4 networking groups, actually 5. I just thought of another. I'm a part of 5 networking groups. 3 of them have a weekly meeting of some sort, and I do try to participate as much.
Are those online, Ira?
So
Are
yeah,
they in
every one
person?
of them has an online component right now. That wasn't true before COVID, but yeah, they all have some type of, it's Zoom conference calls or
Yeah.
Slack channels. I created a networking group. Actually, I run it. It's brand new. It's called Level Up Networking by Ira Bowman, and there's 40 members in it. What we have is we have a once a week Zoom meeting. That's an hour, and that's you know uh, optional for the members. They don't have to join every week if they don't want to participate. But then we have a chat room in LinkedIn. And what we're doing there is we're sharing best practices and stuff like that. And it's really just a way for people who are very active on LinkedIn who want to, it's not a pod at all. We're not sharing links. In fact, it's against the rules. You can't share links in the chat room. It's just a place where you can say, hey, like I put up a tip today. I'll share you the tip of the day that I put in there today was Monday mornings, very, very busy on LinkedIn with marketing materials from every company that was off for the weekend. So it's not a great time for you to make a post. Be better as an individual to post Sunday night or Monday afternoon to let that flux of
Oh, cool.
garbage go through. So you get, because you're posting for what reason? You want to increase visibility, you want people to like it, get to know who you are and trust you, build that. That's what we're trying to do, hopefully, with our posts on social media. So if you don't want to get lost in the avalanche of marketing, um, automated, I hate to say it because I don't want to insult anybody, but the automated posts that were written by somebody and put up to auto deliver 8:15 a.m., whatever your local time
Right.
is. Anyways, it's just one of the tips we share, but we share all kinds of tips in that group. And it's not just me, it's 40 other people. So they have tips that they share too. But it's a way to develop friendships and to accomplish what you were just talking about. It gives you exposure and visibility to other people. It allows you to get to know them get to know you. And then that's where referrals come from. Once you know, like, and trust somebody, they're far more apt to give you a referral, even if they've never done business with you, just because they start to trust your integrity and your intelligence. And in full disclosure, I've never been a client of Brad Smith, but I would refer you, and I have referred you to many people because I think the world of you. So there you go. There wasn't a question there, Brad, but
Oh, got it.
all right, so let's do this. So you're getting your referrals. That's where the clients are coming from. What is the message, the marketing message that you're putting forward to help promote the coach? Because I could give the slogan. I think we already talked about it, but
Well, it took me a while to kind of rebuild my business. I don't have one right here, but my business card, I've got it. Where is it? Right here. This thing here. Stellar Insight Inc., right? The line underneath it is igniting business growth.
Yeah.
I realized I love doing, and partly is an honoring of my dad's kind of bringing me up in that life, but to help people ignite their business growth.
Did I spell that right? I think I did.
Igniting, right? Nope. There's no GH in it.
I gotta copy it. All right. Well, now you guys are getting a taste of my spelling. All right.
Okay.
But
what's important is when we're inspired, we have more energy. When we have more energy, we have more presence to be able to focus on something and accomplish it. And so one of the things I do with my clients is to make sure that I help them self-ignite. I teach them how to be self-inspiring. And I bring that out.
What does that look like? Let's talk about that a little bit.
What do you get excited about? What do you get excited about, right? What gets you excited? For me, I've got about, probably 10 different things that I study on a regular basis, anywhere from particle physics to macroeconomics to digital marketing to.
Did you say particle physics? Like you're
particle physics,
you're a nerd.
I am a complete nerd. Particle physics and cosmology, right? The stars behind me, right? Those two things are tightly linked. Why are they linked? How are they linked, right? I study that. How is group psychology, and another one that I study is cultural anthropology. how does a culture evolve, right? How do those two things, cultural anthropology, match with economic evolution in a country or the stock market, right? So I watch how things interact at a macro level, at a micro level, and I study things like that. Now, what was your question? I've forgotten already.
So the question was about self-igniting and
Oh, yeah.
what that looks like, and I think you just explained it pretty well for you. But let's play a
What's
little role.
important to you?
Yeah, so that's the question that you're asking, right? The motivation, because it's not just money for people.
No. When someone tells me what I ask them, why do you want to do this? What's important to you? They say, oh, money is. I say, garbage. Money is not. Money is a tool. Okay. It may be a way to measure yourself. It may whatever, but money is a tool, right? What gets you excited is the meaning that creates. So what meaning do you create with your life? What's important for you? And if you go down through what's important to me list, what creates meaning in my life, right? Those two threads, if you would, is where you get inspired. What gets you excited, right? Not just energetic, but inspired. It's like, why do I want to achieve more when I listen to this?
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest marketing challenge for your business currently? All things considered, COVID, and it's the digital. The digital people are
My,
online more and more. And, what?
my biggest challenge is I've been too shy my life. Even though I'm an extrovert and gregarious, it's like I have been shy to have a public image. So my biggest challenge right now is doing the things that are necessary to be in front of people like this, right? I love doing these things, podcasts, but it's like being willing to do that. It just never occurred to me that was important for me to have myself in front of people so that they could hear me, see me, talk with me afterwards, right? And have interactions with me so that they could trust me. It's like if you don't know Brad exists, how can you have any idea you want to work with him? Right? So my biggest challenge is this year overcoming my shyness. It's like step up, get uncomfortable. Oh, what are you uncomfortable about? Yeah, be in front of people.
No, I like that, and I mean, I see you making a concerted effort to be on podcasts right now, and that's I'm assuming, because we hadn't talked about that, but I'm assuming that's a big part of it. Then is
My goal is one a week. My
yeah,
goal, and so what I'm actually doing is I'm getting comfortable with the idea of having a vodcast of my own. And the idea behind that was Allison asked me, Brad, Allison DeFord asked me, what do you know that nobody else knows? I understand that in order to be a visionary leader, you have to have intuition and you have to have character. So what I want to do is have a vodcast about um, are you a visionary leader? And if not, who are your heroes who are visionary leaders? For me, one of them is, we have the whole quadrangle of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin. Those were, core people. Those are people that always inspire me, right? There's others that I have that are currently in business. So, and one of them isn't alive anymore, Stephen Jobs. These are people that were visionary, are
yeah,
visionary.
yeah.
And I want
It's
people
hard to beat the founders for vision, because their vision. I mean, first of all, if you read any of their books, anything that they wrote, their letters, their memoirs, if you read that stuff, it's amazing how eloquent they were and how deep their vocabularies were. The vocabulary wells were a lot deeper back then, I guess, but I mean, they use words that have to look them up and go, "Wow, I didn't even know what that meant."
they had to
But
handwrite everything.
yeah, and anyways, look at their vision. Obviously, it's lasted well over 200 years, and worked brilliantly. So that's good. And Bill Gates is another smart guy too.
Yeah.
I hate to say it like that because that almost it doesn't do it justice, but I didn't mean that as a backhanded compliment. I promise. So I just put this up. In fact, it's on the screen here for anybody who's watching, because Brad Smith has just talked about, his goal is to be on a podcast
to do
once
one.
a week. So if
Yep.
you're watching this and you have a podcast, or if you know of a podcast that you think Brad would make a good guest for, by all means, I want to try and help him accomplish his marketing goals and get over the biggest challenge that he's got right now, which, again, I put this, and any typos are that of Ira Bowman, not Brad Smith here. Too shy about being a public figure and put myself out in front of people was the challenge to overcome. That was the marketing challenge. So that's how they go hand in hand. And I want to just give you kudos for being so open about that, because not everybody will come in and just lay it. There's a hashtag out there, but it was started by my friend Tim, and the hashtag is radiating real. And
Say
not
that
everybody.
again.
It's called radiating real, is the
Yep.
hashtag. And anyways,
Authenticity. I love that.
yeah, it's authenticity. It's like, social media, sometimes people are a little bit guarded and they don't always share all their warts openly, and it's like, okay, but you just laid it out there for the world to see. So I appreciate that. Judith, hello. She's from Finland. She is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet here on social media. So if you guys don't know Judith, go ahead and say hi to her. All right, so podcasts are one way that you're working on doing it. Obviously, we're working on building out that media section on your website to help with that too, because if they can't watch it live, they can come and see all of them as we get the recordings. We're putting them on there. And again, if you guys aren't reading, or you're looking for a reading list, I know sometimes people are like, I would love to read a book, but I don't know what to read. Brad's giving you suggestions on what to read. So the 4 books that you're reading now are there on your
Well, they're on my list. Some of those are like ancient history, and I reread them like every 3 or 4 years.
Let me pull it back up so we can see it. So we've got Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. We've got Good to Great. We've got Secrets of Question-Based Selling, and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Those ought to be things that people have plugged into their brain. When I read Good to Great by Jim Collins, I realized that there was something deep in it that was hidden. And so I literally read it or listened to it 13 times. And at number 11, it finally popped. It's like he didn't want leadership to be one of the causes of Good to Great, but inside leadership is the whole package. It's like everything for a company to become great, it has to have great leadership.
Let me ask you a question. My friend Don Williams asked this the other day on social media. He goes, what is your definition of leadership? And I'm thinking, well, I don't know that I have ever taken the time to try to define it. I think I know what it is. I'd like to think I know what it is, right? But I could certainly tell you what I don't. I don't like micromanagers, right? So
okay. So here's my definition of those 2 things. Management is about structure.
Yeah.
It's about directing and structure, right?
Right.
And leadership is about energy and focus, direction, right? So if someone is a leader, they'll paint a target and they'll draw people into the inspiration of that target, right? So another way to describe it is leadership is about well drilling. You drill down into the individual, you find out what motivates them, and you draw that water, if you would, up to the surface. Well, once you got it out of the earth, out of the human being, and the energy is there, you have to direct it and focus it. Yeah. You can be a mud puddle, or if you focus and energize water well enough, right, you can cut 6-inch steel with it, which is just a mind-boggling thought.
100%.
Right? So if you think of management as the plumbing in a house, and leadership is the water delivery process, the excavation of the water, if you would, inspiration and focus, the end result is leadership. So, and management is about the structures that it takes necessary to be effective.
Yeah. And you can be in management and be a leader, but you don't have to be in management to be a leader. I think, and not everybody in management is a leader either, because
Well,
sometimes people abuse the power. But I think for me, when I was reading it, I was thinking along the lines of leadership is about setting an example and being willing to help others along the way, not just, it take to me to be an effective leader, you have to be somebody who's not just about only themselves. I'm not saying you can't be about yourself and trying to accomplish your goals. I think everybody should, but reaching backwards and not just pushing people forward. But it's not just a taskmaster or somebody cracking a whip. It's somebody who's either done it or is doing it and helping others. I think that's a component of it.
right.
Anyways, I have not taken the time to develop a leadership definition, because that's not my. I make pretty pictures, like, you know what I mean.
Well, leadership is about using the people that are following their energy to accomplish things, not your energy. It can't come from your energy. That's
Yeah.
exhausting, right? So use their energy, but you have to, your job as a leader is to draw more energy, motivate these people.
Philosophy is kind of fun. It's not necessarily my thing, but it is kind of fun. But then when you start to think about, okay, I need a definition that works, it's all inclusive. It works from every
Right.
angle. That's where it starts to get hard, right? So that's what I told my friend Don in the comment of the post that he had asked. I'm like, I have never taken the time to define it for myself, but maybe I should one time. Just sit down. I'm going to do it after I talk to Brad about it. That's what I'm going to do. It'll make it easier for me.
Just think of leadership as well drilling and
I love what you said, though,
inspiration.
about the water being a mud puddle, right?
Right.
It's saying they're not accomplishing anything, or it's focused and it's pointed and it's cutting. Did you say diamonds or steel?
Steel, 6-inch steel, and if you put a little bit of grit in it, you can go to 8-inch steel.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like a good episode on like the Discovery Channel, right? A good video to watch, or YouTube these days.
Yeah.
It was a great question. Yeah, Judith knows that. It was a good question, but it was one of those things that made me scratch my head. So, anyways, all right. As we're getting close to the top of the hour again, we're gonna jump out of here. I want to do this. I do this every show. I try to give my guests a few minutes to just kind of talk about anything marketing related that you think would be interesting, or a conclusion that you want to draw. And then I'll put up your website one more time for people so they'll know how to follow you and get a hold of you, and then we'll wrap it up.
So, to me, because I got an MBA in marketing, and to me, marketing and sales is a spectrum. The individual part of it, when someone raises their hand and they say, I want to know more, that turns into an individual conversation. That's sales. Marketing is the distribution of information so that people can get to know you without taking the risk to say, well, I have a need, right? So it's a reduced risk way of gathering information, which is why, to go back to you're talking at the top of the hour, it's like, that's why people research on Google before they make a commitment. They want to know.
Yeah, 100%. I just actually put a post about that a couple of days ago. I've done professional sales. In fact, I've done professional sales for over 20 years, and I have a marketing degree myself, not an MBA, just a bachelor's, but
not much difference.
Whatever. Anyways, so I define both for people, and it's pretty much exactly what you just said. If you guys want to go back a couple of days and look at the post, but I got the marketing definition from AMA, the American Marketing Association. I got the sales definition from Indeed.com. I gave them both credit in the post, but so I didn't have to define it myself. But it's amazing how many people don't understand the differences between marketing lane and sales lane, and they do, if they're effective, they do work hand in hand. So I kind of get it. They're cousins for sure. And then there's advertising, which is a kind of like a child of marketing. So they're all related, but
it's a tool.
Yeah, advertising is a marketing tool, right? So that confuses people too. But in any case, if you have a business and you don't understand the difference between sales and marketing, you probably should hire someone to help you, because those things are important. And if your business isn't doing marketing correctly, or it isn't doing sales correctly, you're likely missing a lot of, there's opportunities that you're missing out on. So with that, Brad Smith, I want to share your website one more time. I'm going to go to the homepage, pull it up here. This is where you can find Brad's company. It's called Stellar Insight, and they help you ignite business growth, which we talked about earlier in the show. So if you joined in this late, go ahead and hit that rewind button, back it up, and watch that. He'll explain very clearly what igniting business growth is, which I thought was maybe one of the best answers of the whole interview without watching it back myself, just off the top of my head. I think that was a really good one. But check this out, StellarInsightInc.com. There's a couple things you can learn all about the business, but also if you're looking for books to read, you can find Brad's highlighted reading list. Also, keep doing that. If you want to check out Brad on podcasts, you can find the current interview that I did with Allison DeFord about Brad. We talked about him behind his back on camera, so you can watch that. But you can see Brad on some of the podcasts that he's been on. Also, Brad's stated goal to increase visibility to help overcome the current marketing challenge is to increase his public visibility. He wants to be on at least one podcast a week. So if you are a podcast host or you have other podcasts that you like to watch and you think Brad would make a good fit for that, either reach out to me and I'll get the information over to Brad, or reach out to Brad directly and send it to Brad so he can get with the podcast host and try to set up the interview time. We would really appreciate
that. Would be fun.
Yeah. Brad, thank you so much for joining the show. We're 2 minutes over, but if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share before we get out of here, and otherwise, we'll see y'all next week, Monday.
Four thoughts.
Yep.
Be self-aware, be situational aware, be curious, be ambitious, and know that whatever limitations you think you have, you don't.
Yeah, that's a mic drop. All right, next week, join me. I'm going to have my friend Angela Thurman. She runs a company called Thurman Co. She's a PMP out of Houston, Texas. The show starts every Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. You can time adjust wherever you are. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
BowmanDigitalMedia.com.